What did you watch as a child that used to give you nightmares? While you think about your answer, I can list a few of my own that comes to mind. But if you asked which one of them remained in your mind even after you woke up, there is only one answer I can give you without a doubt. Caroline.
Coraline Jones.
Oh, my bad. Coraline is the 11-year-old daughter of a couple who have moved into their new home in the middle of nowhere. Her new life, which was already boring, becomes even more unbearable when she realizes that her only friend is a strange freak and her parents are not paying any attention to her. Until on her first night at the house, she discovers a mysterious door that opens onto a world that will end her boredom. The other mother from the other world looks exactly like Coraline's real mother, but is more caring and affectionate. Her other family, who never disagrees with her, seems to be the embodiment of a perfect life. But as we see in every children's fairy tale or adult story, it doesn't take long to see the other side of the coin in here as well.
Black is traditional, but if you'd prefer pink or vermilion, though you might make me jealous.
No way! You're not sewing buttons in my eyes!
When I was a child, this scene used to keep me up at night. In addition to instilling a fear of needles and buttons, it also somehow gave me this involuntary sense of gratitude. Because unlike every cliché children's story, at the end of the film, it was not the world of our hero that changed, but our hero herself. However, those who fail to recognize this fact and only superficially evaluate the narrative may see the film as merely a warning to children about the dangers of manipulation. Ultimately, the other mother is someone who fulfills everything Coraline supposedly desires, but at the same time tries to prevent her from realizing the truth by closing her eyes. Unfortunately, even in today's world, a pair of buttons is imposed on us without our knowledge. But unlike in real life, the movie asks for our permission to control our will, because unlike oppressive regimes, the manipulation efforts of the other mother do not depend on her ability to control, but rather on her victim's consent. Please excuse the example I'm about to give, but isn't the other mother superior to all our mothers? In the end, we are talking about someone who will do whatever you want, shower you with love, and leave you completely happy. Doesn't that sound amazing? It's not likely that a young child would spot the issue with this offer. At that age, most of us were people who had a hard time controlling our impulses and wanted instant gratification. But over time, we realized that a good mother must teach her child what's right, even if it stresses her out. Yet, the other mother has no such responsibility, because she doesn't want something for her daughter. She wants something from her. After major turning points in history, such as the Industrial Revolution and World War II, many societies began shaping a culture of housewifery by assigning social roles to genders according to their economic needs. This tradition created the core problem of women turning their endeavors into their identities and trivializing their personalities. Therefore, a mother who sweeps the house, cooks meals, and raises her baby is destined to lose her sense of self outside of motherhood. If she didn't have a child to love or a husband to iron his clothes, then who was she? For this reason, many mothers who sent their children off to university, military service, or marriage began to experience empty nest syndrome, a condition that left them lonely and emotionally numb. In an attempt to avoid this, the other mother, who strives to be the ideal mother by making her daughter dependent on her, is precisely why she needs Coraline's consent.
You may come out when you've learned to be a loving daughter.
She can keep her in her own world by force, imprison her when she rebels, but she cannot sew the buttons onto her eyes against her will, because more than loving her daughter, she wants her daughter to love her. Only then she can continue to exist as a mother, when she has a child who will love her of her own free will. Otherwise, if she fails... Unfortunately, Coraline is not the only victim caught in the other mother's web. Like her, we come across kids who have fallen victim to the temptations of the other world and are paying the price for the rewards they received. Their very existence proves that the other mother is insatiable and selfishly interested in her children. Although we see similar mother-child dynamics in other productions, the main factor that distinguishes this one from its counterparts is the presence of a reference point that fits the definition of proper motherhood. When Coraline begins to object and rebel, the other mother reveals her true face. Yet her real mother, even in moments of disagreements, never fails to extend an olive branch.
If things go well today, I promise I'll make it up.
Realizing these facts and escaping from the other world drives the other mother into a rage. She kidnaps her real parents and takes them captive, this time making her world unbearable. The irony lies in the fact that motherhood, the most selfless role in the world, is personalized by the other mother and turned into a mask full of selfishness. Because for the other mother, motherhood is nothing more than an outer shell that allows her to conceal her own misery. Of course, her real family is not the complete opposite of this pitiful situation, but we can tell they mean well from the details scattered across the scenes. While they may seem uninterested in their child at first, a bit of empathy helps us understand their situation too. Just like Coraline, they have just moved into a new home and they are trying to adjust not only their personal lives, but also to a work life that has completely changed. The father is having a hard time applying for a new job and the mother is still recovering from the car accident they were in. Even so, they don't forget to spend time with their kid whenever they get the chance. Her real mother, though she says at first that she doesn't like the mud, still goes out into the garden after it's rained for her daughter's happiness.
You were right, Coraline. I really hate dirt. But the tulips look nice.
The other mother, on the other hand, when faced with letting her daughter go for the sake of her happiness, to say the least, goes batshit crazy. This terrifying adventure teaches us that getting what you want and achieving more is not always a good thing, and sometimes you should be grateful for what you already have. At first, Coraline doesn't like her dad's song.
I give you bowls of porridge and I give you bowls of ice cream.
Though she seems to enjoy her other father's song more, when she is scared, guess which one she turns to for comfort?
I think you are so nice. I give you bowls of porridge and I give you bowls of ice cream.
Even if we see a reflection of her distress in the muted colors of the real world, at the end the withered roses suddenly bloom again. In other words, to ease our unhappiness, sometimes it is not our world that needs to change. Only ourselves. See you next week in a galaxy far, far away.